Hi folks, I'm Aleks U and you are awesome. Today's topic for these 15 minutes that the timer is counting here is what's the voice in your head, right? We're gonna go into it because like every topic that we talk in Mind Triumph, it's related to the ego, and it's as important as they come, the questions and the topics. I've got these two very nicely ripe, and they smell amazing grapefruits here. As I always start this video, the act of smell is a really quick shortcut to get you right back in the present moment, because while you're smelling and the brain is processing this as being grapefruit or wondering what the smell is, it doesn't think. So the chatterbox, which is what we're going to talk about, stops. Now, what is that chatterbox, that voice in your head? That should be one of the most important questions, because we all have it. I'm yet to actually meet a person that lives totally without a chatterbox, right? There are a lot of human beings awesomely successfully achieved periods of life or periods that they go without the mind and being present, and that's amazing. But the majority of us, we fall for it, and many don't ever get out of it, right? This voice, right? In fact, you might be interested to know that many people don't even know that in the voice. I didn't for many years, measured in human years, right? Didn't know I was in the voice, because that's all I was. It's a constant conversations in my mind, and that was me. That was it. I couldn't know that's what I was experiencing, because for you to know that this is an experience to you, you have to somehow see yourself outside of this experience for a moment and realize, wait a minute, now there's no voice. I was just in this laundry of thoughts, right? And I can see myself that I exist outside of these things, right? Of the thought processes that are constant in my mind. So that's step one, realizing that, whoa, wait a minute, I am experiencing the voice in my mind. I am not it. And then the journey then begins, short, long, depending on what your experience has been, of trying to actually detach and completely get out of that mindset, or not mindset, way of being, because it isn't your being. And now that's where many people are in this transition period, or fall into the voice, get out of it, right? That's the voice, or the mind, or the ego, collect whatever the word you use. It's this conversation that the little quiet conversation that only you hear, and that's what we refer to. It doesn't matter what your words you use. Now, this voice is the most addictive thing, or I should say the most addictive human experience on this planet. That's what this voice is. So I want you to imagine, like, as everything you do on this planet, maybe you like driving cars, maybe you like swimming, maybe you like yoga, maybe you like cooking, eating good food, whatever that is for you. Maybe you like sleeping, maybe you like stretching, maybe you like doing videos, or maybe you like smoking. I mean, whatever it is that you do like, or you do, whether it's a habit you like, or it's a habit that you can't get rid of, it doesn't matter. You do it because it brings you an experience, right? It doesn't matter what it is. There's no difference with the ego being in our minds, in our thought processes, because let's be honest, how many conversations can you have in just a minute in your mind? Now, your body experiences those conversations. They're tightly related to emotions and feelings. Your state of being changes as you listen to the thoughts in your mind, right? Because your body is always listening and responding not properly, but it's responding the way the brain tells it to respond. These conversations tell it to respond based on what they mean to you, those conversations that are always in your mind. Now, as such, imagine that the experiences you want to have in this physical world that we have, they seem to take time, right? Maybe I want to experience the smell of oranges and grapefruits, but and then that took, let's say, 15 seconds, and then next to me, but in your mind you can do this, you can experience, you can bring this as an experience, the smell of fruits, and right next second you can be thinking about your trip to Egypt, and the next second you can think about what your colleague said yesterday, and the next second you think about the fact that you have to go to the store tomorrow. Like in 10 seconds you can have 4 different, like you can imagine yourself, because that's what these thoughts, because as soon as they come up to your mind, to your consciousness, there's an experience that's related to it. And of course, as you go into the rabbit hole, the more the mind goes on, it elevates usually it elevates at least blood pressure. Now, because it feels like a lot of things happening to the body, right? That's how the body experiences it. But those thoughts can be also not just blood pressure and stress, but they can also be dark thoughts of pain and suffering of all kinds, pain that you hold in you. They can trigger that. Obviously, they're never related to or not never, but they most often related to something that's happened and interpreted, or something that you project will happen or planning to do in the future, excuse me. And so they seemingly pull you in this psychological journey of yesterday and tomorrow. And so it's a continuous stress for the body, right? It's never relaxed state. So that might sound like, well, why would I want to do that? It seems stressful. It is. But it's also a strong experience, right? And as such, this is the definition of addiction, right? It's an experience, it's a strong experience that gives you a sensation, and that the stronger sensation, it's almost related to the stronger I feel, the more alive I am. But these strong sensations quickly become addictive states, and addiction usually leads to problems. And the ego has only one goal, or this conversation in your mind has only one goal: stay engaged as much as possible, as much garbage as possible inside, so you can stay engaged. And the end goal of this chatterbox, the ego, which is collectively is your ego, is suffering, illness, and death. That's it. The ego will never have a different goal for you, because the end goal of the ego is to prove you that you're separate and you have an aspiration, right? That's like, by definition, that's the voice. That is what the voice in your head is leading you to, and that's this. Requires a different video here, but we've talked about it, and you can easily see it and how it operates, the ego, right? Now, the voice in your head, coming back to being addictive. Being in our minds, for whatever reason, even though when it seems like something nice, it's the most addictive state that you can put your body to it. It's more addictive than most everything you can imagine. And you can verify that by noticing about you how often you catch yourself not even being able to stop the thoughts that are racing about something in your mind. How and you know, and there's another one, and there's another one, and there's another one. Just thinking about it stresses me out, right? How drawing it can be, and the stronger the emotions it generates with the thoughts that are running in your mind, the more trapped you're in it, the more engaged you're with it, the more you stay in it, the more it becomes interesting. It's almost like imagine movies that are playing in your mind all the time. It never seems to be boring. And so sadly, it's not that you can't say you want this directly like that, because then obviously you say, well, I don't want it because the thoughts that are racing in my mind, they stress me. So how can I want it? You don't want the results of it, like when it leads to stress and anxiety and all the pain and illness that it creates out of it eventually. But you're addicted to that state of that there's a strong feelings with it, right? There's a feeling that I'm thinking things are happening, I am alive. It cannot be more opposite. that the thoughts in your mind is something that you've become addicted to, and they've become your identity, right? First of all, the first step, it always is forgiveness. What I mean by that is forgiving not the thoughts. They're just connections of neuroelectrical signals and connections and synapses and all sort of biochemistry, but they don't have any meaning in them, right? Like you can't forgive them because they don't have an intelligence in themselves. But you have to forgive yourself for believing that those repetitive, highly poisonous thoughts to you. You have to. That's why you're forgiving yourself. That you've accepted them as you. You're forgiving yourself, not to say, "Oh, how can I be that an idiot?" And see, I'm falling in them again, and I have an ego, and I'm suffering, and look at it, my right mind is racing again. You gotta forgive yourself. It's an addictive state, and that pretty much all humans, for the most part, we fall into that trap. I fall in that trap daily. It's such a experiencing self, as I said, is the most addictive and sweetest addiction there is there. I'm a self, I'm a separate self. Like if you think about it, how more selfish can it get and personal can it get? It is about you as in the ego self. So first is the forgiveness of being or having accepted and living with this acceptance that this conversation is what you are, right? Forgiving yourself is the door, if you want, to come out of these thoughts, or not thoughts, to come out of you feeling and experiencing yourself as that thought structure in your mind. That's what letting go is. That's what being present is. Realizing that, I'm so sorry I did this. I forgive myself. It's okay. Like, it's okay as in, I don't want to continue to feel guilty and judge myself for it. It's okay as in, it was an experience. I obviously liked it because I lived with this I for however many years that we measure here. And yes, it was a wonderful experience with the lows and the highs and all in between. But now I realize that without this thought structure, I am more alive than ever. I can use my brain. I can use thoughts, but they are a tool and not an identity. I'm conscious of time here. So what is the voice in your heads? Well, it is what you believe you are, what I believed I was, and I fall for that quite often. But now I quickly, first of all, I realize now I have the ability to realize that that's not what I am or who I am, or actually the better question is what I am. And that outside of this, if I don't engage with the mind and being in thoughts, I am just as alive, if not a lot more, and here, and my abilities to be are enhanced. I don't fall for my brain or from this chatterbox to tell me, to lure me in with all these important thoughts that will benefit me or give me so much. I've realized that I don't need the voice in my head to be. That's the biggest realization. It doesn't mean it's not gonna come and you're gonna fall for it and it's gonna create drama and stress and anxiety. But what it means is I'm no longer crazy anymore. I'm no longer truly mad as in being possessed by this voice, this egoistic structure that I believed I was. And I'll never fall into it completely asleep again. We're coming up to the 15 minutes. I enjoyed this conversation, and I really look forward comments and suggestions of next videos, but and also your personal experience or your experience you want to share, of course, about how you feel about the thoughts in your head. What is that journey for you? What do they mean for you? Have you had a realization that, I am without my thoughts. I'm here right now, I'm not thinking, I'm being. Ooh, that seems foreign. Am I losing myself? But it feels good. Like I feel light. I feel much more intelligent, much more capable, and I can see and hear and smell and be better. The voice in your head is just an experience that you became addicted to, and you made it a substitution for, or I guess you could say a substitution, or a self of yourself. You bought into the idea, like we all do. And forgiving yourself is the first, and it's probably the only way to actually let that belief, that experience, I should say, go and slowly detach from this addiction of being occupied and being absorbed with thoughts. I'm Aleks U. I'm gonna go back to my grapefruits. And until next time, and until then, what I wish for you is what I wish for all of us. Less ego and a lot more joy. Bye for now.